Yeah, they're supposed to be sound. It's supposed to be. If I turn it on. Hold on 1 second. So I've been talking the whole time. Yeah, sorry. New mic, new problems. But I have been talking the entire time, believe it or not. I was discussing the technique that goes into painting the edges of these pauldrons. I'll touch up the other one again so I can review it. I get some gold on my brush. If you'll notice, I like to spin the model in my hand instead of trying to stroke with the paintbrush the entire way down. It makes it easier for me. I find that helps me control where the paint and the brush is going quite a bit when it comes to doing stuff like these pauldrons. I'm going to paint over the bolt gun a little bit while I try to get into this corner, because I'll be going over it later with some silver anyway. As for getting into these small areas between the elbows and the pauldron itself, I'll almost flatten the brush down against the surface of the model. I'm painting all over the elbow, by the way. Woo! But I'll flatten the brush down and push it into the recesses. Thank you for the heads up. I did make a little bit of a mess here, so I'm going to try to get my brush in there to maybe pull some of that paint out. I'll just go back later and clean it back up with more Macragge blue at the end. But we have our base coats for our gold down on our pauldrons. I'm going to check my notes real quick to figure out what my next step is. There's so many layers. Right. Going to go over the entire surface of the gold with Reichland Flesh Shade. This is going to give it its nice rose gold tint. Now, because these pauldrons in particular, big, tall, round surfaces, not a lot of ledges, no real recesses for us to have to shade, so we're going to skip a couple of steps when it comes to shading. You don't have to worry about doing any recess shading or deep recess shading like we did for the Aquila on the chest. So we're just going to run the Reichland Flesh Shade all the way across it, but be careful not to get it into the recesses on the inside of the pauldron. We don't want to glob it all over it like you usually would a wash. We want to just put enough on the top of the surface. We just want to get it wet, that's all. Give it just a little bit of tone and some flavor. Can't forget the underside. All right. Onto the other pauldron. We just wanna glaze over the top of it. Don't want to leave any big deposits on it, or it'll darken up the gold too much. Make sure we get inside and we get underneath. Okay. We're good for the only shading that we're going to do for the gold now. Otherwise, we would have gone into a deeper shade for the Doom Bull Brown and the black mix. We're going to go back and we're going to tidy up and glaze with Retributor armor. I'm going to thin it down just a little bit on my palette. Well, I don't really have to thin it down much, actually, but just kind of dragging out along the wet palette. So you get it, you're not really painting over the shading. You're just trying to bring some color back to the edges. And we'll do that on the uppermost surfaces of this. So if I hold it like the model would be worn, or the model would be posed, I'm just going to very carefully, gently just kind of put some here towards the top. There we go. Come around the top over here. That will bring some of that gold color back. Same for the other arm. Tilts the gun up like this. So we're going to get right inside here. Get up on the inside right there, towards the topmost, where the light's going to hit the most. Okay. Wash our brush out. Now we're going to use a 1-to-1 mix of Retributor armor and Stormhost. I've already got the armor on my palette, so go ahead and mix some Stormhost in, just a smidge, very small. Don't have to mix too much because it is just a little part on the model. Set it all up right now. It's just going to give us a nicer, shinier gold color, almost yellow. It's kind of like Liberator gold, but not really much shinier. Right, I got it on my brush and I really ran it out on the palette to get it nice and thin. I'm going to glaze this as a highlight around all the edges on the gold. Use the contour of the model to your advantage. I'll come back in a moment with a much smaller brush and get the inside of the pauldron. We have a nice sheen that frames our gold. Going to the other one. I'm going to do the same thing. Should we get the underside? And the inside. This is just along the edges. Now we're just going to do a very, very thin edge highlight with Stormcoast Silver. But because this is such a rounded surface, I'm just going to do it towards where the light's going to hit from above. Going to get up my very, very tiny brush for this, and so I can go back and do the inside of the pauldrons with the glaze that I just did. Actually do that glaze first, and I got to be very careful here. I'm probably going to mess this up, but that's okay. Very little paint on my brush. It wants to dry very quickly, so kind of have to act a little fast. You don't want to go too fast or, you're going to mess up. very small, but it makes all the difference. I'm going to go along the outside the other way around now. Lights flash. All right. We are done with the glaze highlight on the inside of that one. Did I do the other one already? I don't remember. I don't know. Let's do it again anyway. Hello. Welcome to the Crimson Bench. You're just in time. I'm almost done with the gold on the shoulder pad. If I get a real quickness about myself, I might even do the decals at the end of this too. I would be talking a little bit more right now, but I do have to hold my breath while I'm doing these very, very thin lines. It takes every bit of control and concentration not to mess up these small little details. There's already a couple of little mistakes in there, but it's alright. Nobody will notice. Turn my light back up so that there's no shadow on it anymore. It was starting to overheat. I hadn't realized it. All right. And now back to the last and final highlight for the gold. It's going to be Stormhost Silver. Just straight up pure silver. But like I said before, this is just going to be in the most raised surfaces of the shoulder pad. Have to keep in mind how he poses once he's assembled. You don't need a lot for this. You don't want a lot either. I'm just going to do a little bit here. I'm going to hold it in the camera. And just a smidge on the inside too. Make sure the paint doesn't dry on the tip. Right. You can see it just at that angle. So what you get in this image right now, you can see the Reichland flesh shade that we put in the center that darkened the Retributor armor almost to a brown color. And as it gets closer and closer to the edges of the pauldron, you can see all the different layers of the glazing and the mix up into the Stormhost silver at the very peak and very edge. I love it. Do the other pauldron now. I'll have to really get in there for this one. To plant both of my elbows and hold my breath. Up just a little bit on the inside here. And a smidge over on this side. And that's it. Really don't want to overdo it. I did make some mistakes on this guy. You can see right there. Yeah, it's okay. I'll clean it up later. All right. I believe we are done with the gold. I'll give him one more once over just to make sure there's no gold hiding anywhere. And we will move over to the silver. Probably my favorite color to paint. Easiest one to do. With the fewest steps. Just looks good every time no matter what you do. I base coat my metallic parts, all of my silvers, with lead belcher. If you see me paint my Kriegsmen previously, I do have a different mixture of paints for their silver. I like a more darker, worn tone for them. But for my Ultramarines, nothing but the best. I like them to look like they're fresh off the assembly line, because they are. Right, I've got a dollop of lead belcher on my base, on my palette. We're just going to go down the line and paint everything metal. Okay. Start here. I'm going to make this. I'm not really sure what this little piece is on the model. I think it's kind of like a timepiece of some sort. I don't care. It's going to be all silver. My silver does come out a little thin, so just like anything else, we're going to give it multiple thin coats. Just try to get as close to the other parts of that model, like the leather, without painting on it. Hard to see what I'm doing right here. Just the right angle. None of my light can get to it. Okay. I'm working our way through. Maybe we make sure we get it into all the little recesses. Just kind of got to push the brush into those little spots in between. Can't forget the bottom side. And it's not going to be a perfect coat the first time around. That's perfectly fine. Going to come back and apply a second one. Make sure we get the little chain that's inside there. I'm going to do the front of his belt buckle here. Get along the outside of it very carefully. Cruising along. He does have a detachable scope. He seems to have put in this little case here on his thigh. Be very careful not to go over the leather I put there earlier. Just reach in there a little bit. I'm gonna have to come back and do this with my smaller brush. We'll come back to that spot. Or you know what? I'm just gonna get the smaller brush right now. I'm not even gonna stress. Work our way around all the little crevices and details. And it looks like we are good to go in the base coat there. Do his bolt pistol now. He does have a little spot tucked inside of the sheath. Very carefully get in there and paint that without getting it on anything else. No, it's good. We have a little button on the pouch. And then the grip itself. Come around the top. If you can't get all the way in there, that's okay. It's definitely going to need another coat. All the way in there. All right. Pretty good. Got a couple more buttons on our pouches over here. And one underneath. There's a few little dots that I would like to do some silver on in different parts of the power armor as well. There's these two spots on the backside. I like to do them in silver just to break up all the blue that's back there. It's always fun to paint these little dots too. You can just kind of swirl your brush around on top of them. Add some more visual interest to the back of the legs. There's a set of straps back here too. I like to do those in silver as well. Do our other side. All right, we're starting to come together. I don't think I have any more silver to do on him. Come back and maybe do a little bit more, do a second layer of the silver on some spots. Make it look a lot brighter and a lot nicer. Move over to the face next. And he's got a little bit of an eyepiece here. Just going to very carefully paint that. I'm already done with the face. It's going to be a shame to get anything on any of it. I'll be very sad. I previously painted the edges where the metal is with a lighter pink, almost like a wash-like tone kind of color, just to make it look like it's actually scar tissue. This is metal fused to the skin, after all. Turn him over so I can get around the backside here. Now we just want to pick out his eyepiece. Seeing little details like this on models sometimes makes me wonder, did he lose the eye or did he willingly give it up for the upgrade? Think of the benefits. You have 20/20 vision and more. Just a little bit more on the inside here. And I think we're good on the eye on that side of the face. It does have some detail in the back. I do these little plugs in silver. Look at his earmuff on this side. And he has a strip that runs right down there. I'm not going to paint that though. I'm going to leave that blue. There's a couple of little spots left. This guy in particular, he has a service stud. If you can see that little spot right there. Means he's been doing it for a while. Me too, bud. Put a little dollop of silver on his service stud. He has a little node going over the top of his head too. Paint that in. Just a little bit of paint. Don't want to cover up the pink star shade that was applied previously. All right. Silver already looks pretty good, honestly. Probably my favorite part of painting all these models, doing the metallics last, because it really fills in all of what's left. Got a little piece of dust right there. Hard to tell what that is, actually. Anyway, on to the rest of him. He does have like a little computer console down inside here. Actually going to put just a little bit of black in my palette and fill that space in, so I can go back in and paint all the buttons silver. The black will give it something to contrast against. But how's everybody doing today? I believe that. Feeling about the same. Things are pretty crazy, but you know what? It just makes me appreciate times like this even more. get to sit down and do my hobby for a little while. Going to fill in inside of this little computer on his wrist now. Sure, I don't paint over any of my edges by accident. I could thin it down just a little bit because I really want it to run in there. Oh, that makes two of us. I have to be very, very careful. I hope my microphone is picking up my little whispers like this. Make sure I'm not talking to myself. Black is very, very picky. Right. While that's drying, I'm going to continue with the lead belcher. We're going to paint in the magazine in his hand. And some of the details on whatever this is that is mounted on his wrist. Onto the magazine. Make sure we don't cover up any of that nice blue armor that we painted earlier. Turn him over. Try to dance between these fingers here. He's got a hell of a grip on this thing. Wash my brush off real quick. Make sure I don't get any metallic paint drying in it. I do like this one an awful lot. This brush was a little expensive. Unlike the other one, I'd like to try to maintain this for as long as I can. I'm just going to get right in there between those fingers. At least as best as we can. There we go. Beautiful. Wash our brush off one more time, and then we're going to just finish painting the rest of the silver. And we'll come back and do the buttons on his wrist. Don't forget the back side. Get in there and get that part too. And I'm about satisfied with the base coat on the magazine. Go back and just touch up what was done on the top of the wrist here. And then we'll get our buttons. Little hard to tell the difference between them and the black. Very, very carefully. Turn it over. Try not to shake. Ooh. There's one little spot right here. Okay. We're looking pretty good with our silver base coat on this side. There's nothing on the inside that I want to do. So put him down. We'll do the bolt gun next. I'm going to do the clips on the strap are going to be silver. As well as the pistol grip on the bolt gun itself. I'm just going to hold it by the leather. That way I can really get in there. And we're going to dance in between his fingers just like we did before. Now you can actually see the difference between the fingertips on his gloves. The dark black and gray body glove underneath the armor. And the metallic of the bolt gun itself. It's all these different colors that help to visually separate parts of the model. Otherwise, it's just an amalgamous mass of color. Just gonna keep on going. We have the magazine catch right here. Sure not to cover up any of the details that were painted earlier. Go get in there and get the trigger. Like I'm gonna poke your eye out. We have fun here. I'm gonna come in at a different angle this time around. That way I can get the bottom side of our trigger guard and of the Magazine catch. Some very close angles here. Sorry, I know it's a bit shaded and a little dark to see. I'm struggling with the same problem right now. Don't really know what I'm doing, you know? Just kind of winging it, poking the brush around in the darkness and hoping it's getting where it's supposed to. I may as well just close my eyes. I have faith that the Emperor's light will guide me through the darkness. Back through, clean up and around one more time. Such a hard spot to reach, but I'm done with it. Now we can do the rest of the bolt gun. There are some little metal details on this too. We're doing the bolt carrier group with silver. The way that I am painting this particular model is definitely not a fast process. I'm a very fast painter. But taking my time and going into this meticulous level of detail, really only something I'm doing for the streams. If you like that kind of stuff, let me know. Otherwise, I could just crank through these guys super fast. Going to do the iron sights on top. trim along the edges of it too. Definitely go back and clean that up a little bit more. There we go. Do it on the other side. And we can't forget the front. A little bit more paint on some of these spots. Okay. Do the assembly on this side now. If you notice, we're painting over the gold that we got on the gun earlier. So I wasn't too worried about getting any on it. Getting right in there. Make sure none of that blue is still visible. Sorry, my arms are all over the place. I'm not used to a very super zoomed in camera. I have to hold it in a very specific way. I'm getting better. I'm learning. I'm teachable. The other side of the magazine catch. bottom. Get in there and get all those details by the hands. All right, we're coming along. Got to do the little paddle right here at the ejection port. Very nice. And then we'll get the actual barrel and the external gas block. Bolters are actually gyrojets, technically. By no means, there should be no gas block. Along our underside, get our little belt buckle here too, over here. Give that brush a good quick wash. And get the other side. Grab it by the bandolier again. Way I can get in from this side. And go back and touch up some of these spots again. Run around the top side of it. Let the brush do all the work for us. I got a little bit on the leather, but that's all right. Okay. Music is paused. I'm going to start it back up again, but I'm going to get up and walk around for just a moment and get a drink of water. You should do the same. go back and finish up what is left of the silver on the bolt gun. I think we're looking pretty good. I just got to do these buckles. Right. Even the Emperor would approve. He's got some little dots on his wrist. Gonna do those in silver too. Silver just a little bit more. Never hurts to do just another small little coat. There we go. It does have a couple of little bolts and studs on the gun itself over the black that we painted previously, but those spots are so small, I'm not going to bother base coating the lead belcher there. I'm just going to come back with my highlight color, the Stormhost Silver, and just 2 little dots on it. They're too insignificant to try to go through all that effort for something that will be unnoticeable. Now we have some vents and grills to do on the backpack. Make sure we get in between all the little cracks and crevices. We do not want to leave anything unturned. Thank you for joining us. insides as well. Actually going to get to switch to a slightly larger brush for this, try to speed this process up a little. There's not so many small recesses I have to get into, so I can use a larger brush. Squeeze right in there and get in between them. And along the inside. Now we got some pretty good looking vents back there. I'm going to trim the exhausts now. Or you know what, I'm just going to paint into the exhausts. Touch up. Get my small brush back out again. And we're going to go around the vents as well as paint some of the details behind the backpack on the inside of it. There is a very subtle ring around the exhaust. Don't forget the backside. I'm going to take this off camera for just a second so I can get this very weird angle. And go touch up the silver one more time. And the other side. I can paint downwards on this end. All right. There are a few other small pieces around the inside here that I am going to put some silver on. There's also some more very small studs that I will be coming back later with Stormhost Silver and doing those as well. To very carefully paint these. And there are a few little raised areas along the side. I'm going to do those in silver as well. Enjoy your dinner. And thank you for coming. If you want to see the model finished, it will be uploaded on the Instagram, or come back and watch this on YouTube. Right. I believe we're almost done with our silver base coats. Almost forgot the base. Need to get more lead belcher on my palette. An awful lot of we are almost done with the silver base coat. And get right back in here and hack that magazine again. don't think there's any other magazines anywhere. Blue is very stubborn, though. It does not want to be covered up by this silver. Alright, I think our base coat is good there. We can just touch up some previous spots now that we're done applying the first layer of the base coats. Not every part is going to need a second layer, but things like this timepiece right here are definitely going to need to be touched up. Get the front of our cod piece again, our belt buckle. And we'll retouch up the spots on the back. Bottom side of the pistol grip. Alright, now our silver is nice and vibrant. Very shiny. Okay. We'll do one more little quick coat on the other arm. Back in and touch these back up again for the heck of it. little bit more on the wrist. And not even gonna mess with the buttons inside of the wrist mounted PC. Just gonna let that be. One more quick thin layer on the face. Touch the backpacks up one more time. Notice there's some little details inside there I'd like to get. Alright, that is good enough. I'm gonna give the bolter one look over. Really don't want to mess with that anymore, so I think we're good with the bolter. Now that we have our base coats down, we can do our shading. I'm just gonna do Nuln Oil. Not every spot is going to need a shading, but anywhere that's pretty dense with a lot of ups and downs, raised and lower surface areas. For example, the buttons and small little circular details. I'm not going to bother with those. With the exception of the buckle. It is big enough that we can put just a little bit of it in the center, and we want to lift our brush up from the center too, so that it leaves a little pool of the Nuln Oil there in the very middle. We're just going to go all over the little timepiece here. Let that Nuln Oil run into all of the recesses and really bring out all the detail for us. Same thing with the scope. Very nice. We'll get in on the inside of this holster here. And then the pistol grip. Just wanted to fill into those recesses. We don't necessarily want to leave a whole bunch on the big flat surface areas of our silver here. All right. Small, light little dabs on the back of these. Bit of our silver on the body. Actually, can't forget the base. All right. We are not going to put any known oil into the little computer on his wrist, but we will do it on the Vulture magazine. You'll notice there's a bolt round in the magazine. We're going to do that in just a second after we're done with the silver. We're going to come back in with some bronze colors, and we're going to paint in the bolter rounds and the bolter shells that litter the floor around his feet. All right, I've let too much sit there. I'm going to wash my brush, dry it out real good, and go back in and just touch up with a dry brush what I want to clean up. There we go, like it never happened. Go with this arm. Go onto the face. We're just going to very carefully paint the Nolan oil over the silver. I don't have a whole lot on my brush. I'm not just running it all over it. I'm putting it where I want it. Making sure to avoid the face, and I don't want it to run over the scar flesh tone I did earlier. These little details in the back. And the little earmuff. Remember to lift off the center, but if there's too much, like there was just a second ago, you can kind of work your brush back into it and try to pull it off a little quicker. You'll leave less behind. All right. I did miss a little spot of silver here on the earmuff on the opposite side, so I'm going to paint that in really quick as I still have lead belcher on my palette. on it, let it dry real fast. Then touch it with a dab of Nolan oil. Okay. Now for the backpack. Gonna get it into recesses in the vents. And in here too. Make sure it goes into all those little ridges. I'll do just a little bit on some of these round details. And we're going to leave those plates in the middle alone. Come back in here, run it along the ridges. And we're good with shading the power pack. Now for the bolt gun. Get our Nolan oil all over this. Everybody likes a dirty gun. Means it's been getting shot. Get into all the little details in here, and as soon as all this Nolan oil starts running into these recesses, it really shows all the little details. Get the pistol grip. Now we shaded our silver on our bolter. Put him down. We're done with our silver shades, so then we can go into our highlights. And for this, we're just using Stormhost Silver again. This is such a nice and fun step. It's almost like the home stretch. We're almost there. Sorry, I got a little bit too much there. We're just gonna go and edge highlight some of these surfaces that we had on our silver. Do some little dots on our pouches here. Run along at the top of our edges. Make sure we respect the recesses. Don't forget the pistol. Make our way over to the back here and just do a little upper edge highlight of these little buttons back here. And then we'll do the sculpt. Have the belt buckle. Too much paint on the brush. Here we go. And we're going to go all the way around this one. And the magazine. All right. The silver is finished on the front. Actually, there's one more edge. Okay. do the arm next. Just gonna trim the top of the magazine. Coming along the side just a little bit. Along here. Inside that. Along our bottom. Touch up the bits on top. And we'll just do small little dabs on the buttons. All right. We are done with that arm. Do some raised area trim on the face around the eye. And on the service stud, as well as just paint along the tube over the back of his head. Touch the tops of the earmuffs. And trim the outside of the little pieces back. And our head is looking pretty good. Do a quick trim of the backpack. Sides too. Now we'll go along the edge of the vents. And we will dot the highlights on the little bolts located towards the center. well as the bolts all over the backpack itself. Two more on our back side here. That is that for the backpack. And now for the bolt gun arm. Flip her over. And keep working our way around. Make sure our tip doesn't dry. And now we're going to dot all the little rivets. Also do a little bit of trim on the iron sights too. Forgot about them. get the rivets on the other side. Tip dry it again. Dot here, dot there. Pay pretty close attention. They hide them very well. And of course, the little buttons. Okay, we're almost done with the actual bolt gun. All that's left is the scroll that's on it. I forgot existed. I have to go back and paint that in. We are done with the gold. We are done with the silver. All that remains are small minor details and touching up any mistakes. I'm going to do a couple of other tiny things now. I'm going to paint into his eye replacement. Give him a little red lens. We'll be base coating this with Mephiston red. Very tiny detail already looks way better. All that blue and skin tone to contrast against with the red of Mephiston red. A few other details I'd like to do in red too. There's some gauges on his timepiece. I'm going to do those in red. Yep. Do some red dots. I'm going to thin down the Mephiston just a little bit so it kind of maintains a shiny color. And paint this over one or two of the buttons. Not all of them, though. And I want that to remain relatively thin so it still kind of shines through the silver that we painted underneath. Gonna paint one of these little cables in the back red. Kind of hard to see, very dark in there. I think we're good on our bolt gun. Bust out my Evil Sun Scarlet next. Just gonna do a little bit of the corner of these various lenses and red parts that we're painting right now. Just a dab for a highlight on the instrumentation. Not worried about the buttons. Then we'll bust out some Fire Dragon Bright. Very nice bright orange. And we'll be very scarce with it. Even smaller area. Very, very tiny orange area. So we're going to use that for, and I do still have my white on my palette from a previous painting session. I'm going to go in and just do the world's smallest dot of white. There we go. We are done with his head. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go for it. Thin this white down just a little bit more. Get my magnification glasses. we're going to paint his pupils. Had a little bit too much on the brush. I'm going to soak some of it up. And it's already kind of botched some of the detail in there. Going to revive some of the flesh tone. And repair it. You know what? Just going to paint over it. It's not always worth it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. He's just got one eye closed. He's aiming. He's focusing, you know. Get that goofy contraption off my face. And think about what part to do next. Right, the bolter shells. I'm going to base coat those with. Thought about this part. I think I'll do. No, I have more brass. Where'd brass go? Well, we'll just use Balthazar Gold. Although I thought I had. No, I. Hold on one second. I do. We're gonna use Skull Crusher brass. Take this out of my pot. I don't have a dropper for this one. I'll put it on my wet pellet. The skull pressure brass is a very bright, almost true brass color. I'm going to be base coating with it, then we're going to shade it with Agrax Earth Shade, and then go back and do a very, very small edge highlight with the Skull Brush Press. Get my super small brush for this. We're going to test it out on the magazine that's in his hand. You know, at times I'm tempted. Sometimes these models do be looking pretty tasty, you know what I mean? I've resisted the urge. Hello, Morgan. How are you? That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for joining me on the Crimson Bench tonight. You get to witness my quest for a fully painted 2,000 point army, so I can finally start going out to tournament events without feeling bad about 10 points. They do destroy people. Actually, I've been playing a lot at home and meeting up at stores and stuff like that, and absolutely wrecking people. It's been a display. I want to start going back to bigger tournaments again. That would be a whole lot of fun. Not far from it. At the rate I'm going, I did just start playing Ultramarines again. I've been playing Guard for a while. I've had 3 games with my Ultramarines now. This is post data slate. And holy crap, giving Oath of Moments back +1 to wound. Oh wow. I mean, I guess they nerfed Marnius and Robote, but they still rock. Still gonna take him anyway. In fact, made them even cheaper. Madness. Absolute madness. They really do. Like, I've been playing the Guard for so long, and I had brought out the Ultramarines, and I played them, and all I could think was, oh my god, these are just better guardsmen. What am I doing? Which, I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's kind of obvious, right? But it just, you think the grass is greener on the other side. You go and you try it out for a little while, and you find out that it's not all it's cut out to be. And when you come back home, there they are. They're waiting for you. Open arms. Open power armored arms. So beautiful. I forgot how much I loved painting blue. But hey, if you want to see some of the new narrative asymmetrical, and some of the I think I managed to play one game with the new cards, the new set, chapter approved. I've got those on YouTube, and I'll be playing a relatively new player on this coming Sunday as well. And I might be playing my Ultramarines there too. Or maybe my Tau. I don't know. We're digging up corpses. I will never stop beating up new players. I am the gatekeeper and the key master. No, they're not too terribly new. They like a good beating, you know what I mean? They might actually be watching right now. What have you been painting lately anyway, huh? Not that I go looking, to be completely honest with you, but I haven't seen you. Haven't seen anything that you painted in a while. What's your latest piece you're most proud of? You used to slay the War Machine models. Those were incredible. All right. I think we're good on our brass. We're going to shade with some Agrax Earth Shade. I really don't think this is my normal, because it's not. That's why something didn't feel right. That's so weird. I haven't played Canis yet on the tabletop, but are you painting him like the actual tabletop, box art version of Canis Rex, or are you doing your own thing with him? Tell me your secrets. Send me a picture. Thank you for the follow. And welcome to the Crimson Bench. We're glad you would take a seat. We're nearing the end of the very bright colors, huh? All right, you want to make sure you don't miss them out there on that battlefield. But we're nearing the end of this Intercessor. I'm just touching up all the remaining minor details on him. I believe this is all that I have left now is the bolter shells. And once I am done with that, I'll be putting him together very quickly, giving him one more look over to make sure I didn't miss any more details. Like I already spotted one here. I need to go back and do the edge highlight on his belt buckle. I'm a heathen. And then I'm going to put the transfer decals on him and call him done. While I'm waiting for the Agrax Earthshade to dry, I'm going to hit the continue on the music. Hold on. Yeah, send me a picture of it. I want to see. So this is where we're at on the head right now. We're finished with the face. It was a lot of fun to paint. A lot of people seem to have a hard time with flesh. I like painting flesh. It's so organic. You can do whatever you want with it. Nothing's ever really right. Don't look at the eye. It's closed. Thank you for the follow. Our Agrax Earthshade should be nice and good on these Skull Crushers, so I'm going to go back in with my Kalinsky Sable and get my Skull Crusher brass again and just do a little bit of edge highlighting on it. That way they're still dirty looking, but they all stick out from the rubble around them. I just heard the blips on my phone. I'll check it all at the end of the stream. But thank you everybody for joining me so far. If you're new here, I do my painting streams like this, Work in Progress Wednesdays. I start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And trying to get it done in about 3 hours if I'm close enough to being finished. What time is it now? 7:40. I'll probably should be done with this one by the end of the night. I might have to go just a little bit longer. So we try to be done by 8. All of this gets uploaded to YouTube as well, so if you miss any of them or you want to watch any of them again for whatever reason, you can find it all there. The finished model will be posted on Instagram as well as the Facebook too. It's all under the same name in all of those locations, the Crimson Bench. Right. The little bolter shells are looking nice and bright. They contrast well against the dark, rubbly ground and the black rim of the base. I'm going to do just a little bit of cheating here and try to sneak in the edge highlight on the belt buckle that I had forgotten. Bear with me just 1 second. Where's it at? Do a quick little kind of semi-thick edge highlight of Calgar blue. There's about 5 or 6 different mixed blues between Macragge blue all the way up to blue horror that gets the nice smooth gradient up to the highlight on the armor, but I don't want to go through all that. All those paints dried on my palette already. In time, I'll have a nice little camera set up so you can actually see the wet palette in one of the corners too. Just haven't figured out how I'm supposed to set that out quite yet. I don't want to be fighting a camera rig for arm space at my desk. It's already becoming quite cramped with a microphone right in my face. Hello. This is the Calgar Blue. Somewhat thick edge highlight. Being very careful so we don't paint over any of that silver that we did earlier. Bring it out just a little bit more. There we go. We're looking pretty good now. Then I'll do a very, very thin edge highlight of thin Riesian gray and tip the edges with some blue. Want to get too much paint on our brush, we're going to end up with a mess. And then we're just going to trim the edges. Very, very thin edge highlight. Right around the bottom. Get on our insides. And then we'll do our blue horror. And the blue horror is just going to go on the very edges, very tips. This isn't even an edge highlight. It's just going to be doing little dots in the corners. Wow, that really has dried straight to my palette. Hold on. But how's everybody doing tonight? Here we go with the tips. Just very small little dots. Okay. I might have forgotten the Boulder Shell in the magazine, but that's all right. No, you know what? No excuses. I gotta pay him too. blow him off real quick so he dries, and then do just a little bit of skull crusher on him again. All right. The very last remaining effect to paint is the scroll along the side of the bolt rifle. Not going to do anything too complicated with that. I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to base coat it with Sandry Dust. And just kind of follow through with a very basic scroll like color scheme. It is going to be different from the purity seals. And that's okay. We want different colors for the same thing sometimes. It's a little too runny right now. It's just a little difficult to tell the model from the darkness. Let it dry for a little bit. Did accidentally get some paint on some other spots, but that's okay. It's just black. Sandry Dust is always a very thin kind of paint in my experience. I have to end up doing multiple coats of Sandry Dust to get a nice even finish. Whew. And do one more coat. And we can do a little bit of shade. I'm going to mix Sandry Dust 101 with Abaddon Black. Get a nice shade and just paint it into the recessed areas along the insides of the scroll. Then I'm going to get Pallid Witch flesh, Blade One flesh, one of those. do a thick edge highlight, and then go in with Screaming Skull, do a very, very thin edge highlight. Just not sure what to write on the scroll yet. All right, we're good on the base coat. I've mixed some Abaddon Black with my Xandri Dust. Almost 1-to-1. Just roughly 1-to-1. I'm going to paint it into the recesses of the scroll. You could also just use Nuln Oil or Agrax for something like this, but sometimes I feel like those are a little too harsh, and something as shallow as this doesn't need that hard of a shade on it. I'm going to use Karak Stone instead of Pallid Witch Flesh. This will be a somewhat thick edge highlight. Going to be very careful to avoid the recesses that we just painted in. And now for the edge highlight of Screaming Skull. I didn't realize my microphone was picking all that up. Hold on. Sorry about that. I didn't think it would pick up the vortex mixer. This is the Screaming Skull for the very, very thin edge highlight. Gotta fight tip dry a little bit right now. All right. I'm not sure what I want to write on it yet. Maybe I'll do a vote or something like that in the future. So, unfortunately, I haven't got time to do the transfer decals, but I will. I'll put them together real quick so we can get a nice, actual finished visual of what this guy looks like with all of his bits and his bobs. But while I'm doing that, soon I will have a Discord up for the bench. For those of you who are interested, you will be more than welcome to join. There will be painting channels, all the usual stuff you find in those types of things. I'd love to see pictures of what you're working on. I'll share some pictures of what I am working on. Be able to discuss whatever part of the game in any facet, as well as other games. Turns out Warhammer isn't the only tabletop I play. Easy to build models are always so nice. All right. And here he is, fully painted, sans the words on the scroll and any of the transfer decals. But I'll be doing those off stream, and you guys will all likely see a picture of him totally done and completed with actually decent camera settings tomorrow night. Or Friday night. Friday night is more realistic. But thank you for joining me. If you're still here and you're still watching, stay and hang out for the raid. I'll try to find somebody else that's doing some Warhammer stuff. So if that's what you're in the mood to watch tonight, you don't even have to get up and paint. Join us next time on Crimson Bench. I'll save a seat for you.